change is really hard for people, and that generally speaking, managers and leaders get it wrong. And I got really curious, like, why is it so hard? That was the first code I kind of wanted to crack. And then how can we make it less hard? How do we actually, when we do go through a change, how do we go through it? What does a successful change look like psychologically and emotionally? And so those were the kind of problems I set out to solve when I wrote this book about change to begin with.
It's I hear from leaders all the time that people in the organization are change resistant. That's the first word we go to. Yeah. And I need people to become more change ready. That was old language. Right. Modern language is agile, versatile, adaptable, flexible. Pick one of those words. It's usually probably showing up. Resilient is the other hot one.
Right.
I think all basically means I want you to accept the change that I have now said we were going to do.
Precisely.
Quickly.
And I want you to accept, quickly, like right now, within 5 minutes of me having proposed it to you.
Yeah. So in your experience, why is change so hard for people in organizations?
Well, I love that question. And as I started to explore this before I started writing the book, so this is about 4 years ago, I was thinking about it. And I often look to history to answer questions because we forget sometimes how much we are a product of our history as human beings. So I thought about, all right, let's say you're a human being 100 or 200 or 500 or 1,000 years ago. Your life, that person's life, let's say 200 years ago, would have been unimaginably stable to us. That person almost certainly would have lived in the same place their whole life, probably the same place that their parents grew up, in the same city, gone to the same church, eaten the same foods, done the same work. 200 years ago, if your dad's a farmer, you're probably a farmer. Your dad's a mechanic, you're probably a mechanic. So life, the life of a human being day to day, imagine that, just incredibly stable, incredibly predictable. And when a change did happen 200 or 500 years ago, it was almost always a huge disruption and a threat and a danger. It was a war or a flood or a famine, right? The Revolutionary War. I'm living in Philadelphia in 1772 and like, oh my God, the Revolutionary War, right?
Yeah, right.
So think about that. That was our life as human beings until very recently. So we're deeply wired as humans over thousands and thousands of years to assume that a change is going to be dangerous and threatening, and that almost without exception, the best approach is going to be to try and get back to previous conditions, homeostasis, as quickly as possible.